morning, sir. Morning, sir.
Mini Shukla?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Please take a seat, Mini. So, Mini, you're comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Tell us very briefly about yourself, your academic qualifications, your work experience, if any, and your main hobbies.
Sir, I was born in Mehgaon, Bhind. I completed my education in Gwalior primarily. I have graduated in economics from Amity University, Gwalior. And during the last year of my college, I started working in the Times of India as a writer and editor. I started my internship and thereafter I continued working there for 2 years, 1 year in Gwalior and another year in Pune. So, and my hobbies include reading literary fiction novels and teaching, and I also write sometimes, not that regularly, and watching comedy talk shows,
Good.
primarily American and British.
Nice. So, Mini, you are from a historical city, Gwalior,
Yes, sir.
right? So, what are the things that you like about Gwalior?
Sir, I think it has a very optimal size. It's not a very big, a very fast city. For that matter, it's also not a very. It's not also very small city. I think it's an optimum size for people. For example, people moving from Delhi to the suburban region. It's a perfect city for that. It's a historical city. It has many places for anyone who wants to visit. It's beautiful for its art and architecture. The
Suppose
music.
if I ask you that I want to visit Gwalior, what places would you show?
So I think first of all, I would take you to Raja Man Singh Palace, which is the main part of the Gwalior Fort. And adjacent to it is the Gurdwara Databandi Chhod, where Hargobind Singh Ji helped 52 kings to be rescued from the jail. Along with
And what would you make me eat? Any special thing about Gwalior?
So there is actually a very famous sweet shop in Gwalior, Bahadura, and they have very tasty. Those are my favorite. They have very tasty motichur ke laddus, and I would definitely want you to try those.
So, Mini, you worked as an editor in Times of India in a print form of the media. Now, social media is almost overtaking even the print media and digital media, of course. Now, and you know better, when somebody gives a defamation kind of news item which is defamatory in nature,
Yes.
then in the newspaper, if somebody attention is caught, then he may file a defamation suit immediately. But when in social media you keep writing hate messages and you use derogatory words and you abuse, nothing is done and nothing is taken.
Yes, sir.
What do you think should be done with social media?
Sir, I believe first of all we have very poor regulations with respect to social media because it is a new technology, a new arena that we are generally dealing with as citizens and as government in terms of regulation. So that is one reason why the regulation is not as strict, so people don't take it as seriously. Also, there is a level of anonymity with social media that is not the case with print journalism or writing in a magazine, so to say. So I think that adds, and I think social media brings with it notoriously some sort of insensitivity, and so people generally don't take it too seriously sometimes. So that also people don't file defamation perhaps on that basis, but people are, I think, increasingly people have taken people to court for defamatory tweets and posts on Twitter and Facebook. So that is happening increasingly.
Okay. Vinny, you took part in the parliamentary youth parliament.
Yes,
there was
sir.
a debate. What was the subject of the debate?
Sir, it was youth parliament was in school, and I don't remember the topic.
You don't remember the topic?
Yes, it was in 8th standard, and the debate was in college.
Okay, just tell me very shortly, how do you assess the present status of Indian economy from macro indicators as of today?
Okay, sir. So macroeconomically, our inflation has risen up. It's above 6%. percent, I believe, and that is a cause of concern. Apart from that, our merchandise exports have increased. We have met our target for the financial year 21-22 of $400 billion 9 days before the financial year got over. And apart from that, we have a strong forex reserve, $650 billion, close to $650 billion, which is over 10 months of safe side for us. And apart from that, we have good investment in India. The investor sentiment is good, and the policies, for example, PLI schemes, the investor sentiment is good. There is a lot of investment from the developed countries into India. And
Okay.
so,
You've written as your hobbies, interest, literary fiction. What is literary fiction?
sir, it's a kind of writing. These are generally literary fiction as compared to commercial fiction, is distinctive in its use of language and that it is very dense. For example, if we take the example of Midnight's Children, for example, The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, and these are books that that we cannot
So
probably.
literary fiction is different than mere fiction?
Then commercial fiction, yes, sir.
Okay. What do you understand by TRP ratings?
Sir, I am sorry, I'm not sure
Okay.
about the full form, but
Doesn't matter. You heard of commodity exchange?
yes, sir.
What is it?
So commodity exchanges are in the stock market, I believe. People trade them on the basis of speculation and arbitrage.
What were the main payouts or benefits from the 2016 demonetization?
So I'm sure, sorry, I'm not aware.
You heard of Pegasus controversy?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
So the Pegasus controversy was that many of the mobile phones were being scanned, were being surveilled all the time without user information, without the awareness of the person who was using their mobile phone. And many of the top journalists, even a serving union minister's mobile phone was in the list that were there. And it was basically a breach of privacy, a massive breach of privacy, and the investigation is still going on.
Thank you.
Well, in your opinion, which is the most important power sector reforms in the recent past, maybe last couple, 3, 4, 5 years?
So I think power sector reforms are much needed, and it is an area that we as an economy are facing. One of the biggest power sector reforms that has come is in the recent budget. Not the recent, I think so, the last budget 2020-21, wherein about rupees 3 lakh crore have been allotted for the sector for performance linked, result based performance of the power sector schemes. They have to adopt smart metering, they have to control their attenuation and transmission losses, and also privatization is taking place. The sector is being deregulated to some extent or being better regulated. For example,
Anyway, have you heard of a scheme called Subhagya?
yes, sir.
What is that?
So Saubhagya is enabling people in all parts of the country to have electricity, 24/7 electricity, to meet daily necessities of life.
Now, one of the goals set by Government of India three years back was to double the farmers' income
Yes, sir.
by 23, 24, 22, 23. So, do you think we are somewhere nearby that?
Sir, I don't think we are nearby that. It is an ambitious goal by any standard. I think some reforms were at the anvil. They have been postponed for some reasons because farmers were not convinced about the reforms, and there have been delays in procurement systems and in the inclusion of private people in terms of agri-market reform, and that has been acting as an obstacle in increasing farmers' income. And some other things have worked in the favor of some states. For example, Andhra Pradesh has been able to work really well in this field. Farmers have been able to diversify their crops, and some, for example, they have moved to coconut farming, which is more sustainable and which is paying them better. So there are some case studies that we can implement better.
Now, I think you will agree with me when I say that India enjoys a huge reputation as a very robust, very healthy democracy.
Yes, sir.
But still we have a problem of people with the criminal background entering
Yes, sir.
parliament or state legislative. They are, or whether any election you see,
Yes,
and
sir.
we read in newspaper 30% candidates
Yes,
with
sir.
criminal background.
Yes, sir.
So who are and they're elected also.
Yes, sir.
People vote for them.
Yes,
So
sir.
whether people are responsible for electing such people, or there is a systemic failure.
Sir, India is the largest democracy and we have proved the quality of our democracy in the last 75 years. We have had democratic elections and there has been peaceful transition of power. I think the problem with criminalization of politics has increased since I think the 60s and 70s. It was from the beginning. One of the prime reasons I personally feel is that political parties tend to give their tickets to people with criminal background, and the reason they cite is the winnability of the candidate. That has been ruled out by the Supreme Court recently, that cannot be a criteria, and the political parties have to come out with reasons why they gave their ticket to a person with a criminal background and not that with a clean background. So I believe, sir, it's a both a demand and supply problem. People tend to vote for people with criminal background because people feel that they can get things done, and there is also caste and kin factor which perhaps forces people not to vote on the basis of what the background of the candidate is, but what their caste or their community background is. So these are the factors that I feel are preventing us from moving away from criminal politicians.
MP Madhya Pradesh is land of tigers.
Yes, sir.
So have you been to any of the tiger reserves?
Sir, not so far.
You are not interested in wildlife environment.
Sir, I am interested, but I have not had the opportunity so far to go there. I've only visited one national park in Madhya Pradesh. That is Van Vihar National Park.
There is only one.
Sir, I have only visited one.
Only one. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You have. Thank you.
Yes, many. You have political science and international relations as optional,
Yes, sir.
and you have studied economics till a postgraduate.
Yes, sir.
It's a very, very interesting combination.
So till graduation.
Till graduation.
Yes,
Very, very. And I'm going to ask you questions from these two. You must be following the developments in the Ukraine war,
Yes, sir.
the war in Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
What was the reason, in your view, for that Russia attacked Ukraine? Was there a provocation? What was the main reason?
Sir, I believe there were problems on both sides. First of all, there were agreements, Russia-NATO Act of 1997 and the Minsk Protocol of 2014, where NATO agreed that they will not be expanding NATO further. There were 16 countries then, and today NATO has 30 countries. So NATO is expanding closer to Russia's borders, and that is a cause of concern for Russia's security. And we have, in 2014, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said that Russia has legitimate interest, legitimate security concerns in the region. Apart from that, I believe a full-fledged invasion was not the right approach. Russia could have taken a much more diplomatic approach. They could have voiced their concern in a much more better and peaceful way that would not have led to the loss of so many lives of Russians and Ukrainians and many other people who were stuck in the country, Indian students including.
Russia did make every possible diplomatic effort to sort this problem out, but both the United States and NATO, they tore up all their letters and threw it out, and also insulted Putin. So this is not the real reason. Putin tried everything, but nothing worked. So that's why I did it. Because you are PSIR, so I am going deep into the matter.
Yes, sir.
Was there a major high-level American visit recently to the region in connection with this war?
Yes, sir. I think President Joe Biden himself
Yes.
visited some Eastern European countries. He came.
And he visited a Western European country also.
Eastern European, okay, Western.
He also visited one Western European country,
Sir, I'm not aware.
which is the headquarters of NATO.
So Brussels.
Do you know which country is which city is which country is that?
Sir, I'm sorry. Is it
Brussels.
Yes.
It's Brussels. Okay, never mind. Have you read anything about the speech Biden gave day before yesterday in Warsaw evening? See, you have to be current with this. It is changing every day, the situation.
Yes, sir.
Well, because Biden said in that speech that the real intention of the United States and NATO is to overthrow Putin, means regime change. He said it in so many words. After that, some people from,
Yes, sir.
they ran and said, no, he meant this or that, but it was quite clear. So that is the thing. They want to overthrow Putin himself. Putin will try to defend himself, isn't it? If anybody would.
Yes, sir.
And that is the reason that we had no option but to attack Ukraine. All countries are not like India, who keep sitting on their hands while Pakistan acquires nuclear capability. They take some action to prevent that from happening. So that is the reason. So go deep into the Ukraine thing, because if you have PSIR, then by the time your interview is there, more things will happen. Okay. So go deep into this thing. Have you ever heard the term deep state?
Yes, sir. In the context of Pakistan.
What about the context of USA?
Yes, sir.
You have heard the term
Yes.
deep state. What is the interest of the deep state in this war?
Sir, in this war, as I believe they've made clear, they want regime change in Russia, perhaps. And they have been supporting protests in Russia. Generally, the Western media have been doing that.
Where do you get your information from about this war?
Sir, I read newspapers.
Most of these newspapers are either they quote Western news agencies or New York Times, Reuters, AP, this thing. So it's only one-sided, isn't it? Try to get the other side of the story also, which you will get on internet.
Yes, sir.
So there are websites on internet which will give you the other side. Then you can arrive at a reasonable conclusion about what is actually happening. Deep state, US, one of the major component is the weapons manufacturer. They want more and more wars all over the world. That's how they sell the weapons. So that's the reason. That's one of the major reasons. So this is going deep into the matter. Okay, now come to economics. You must have heard the term political economy.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So, political economy is a discipline that deals with policy prescriptions and analysis of any country, especially developing countries. It is a discipline that deals more importantly with developing countries to give policy prescriptions for economic growth, for more equitable distribution of wealth, for prosperity of its citizens.
Okay. Read up a little more on this, because political economy means economics from the political side. It actually tells you that you cannot separate economics from politics. That is why the political economy of China is very different from India. This is a democracy, that is a dictatorship. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Why this passion for civil services?
Sir, I was working in a newspaper for 2 years, and I had the opportunity to closely talk to people at the ground and with some people in the administration in Gwalior and Pune. And there were some issues that I came across. For example, I was in a police station to report something, to talk about something to an officer, and there was a woman who came to complain, and she was waiting for a long time. Domestic violence was her concern. And there were such other issues that I came across with respect to municipal issues, roads not being there or broken roads being there. So these were issues that I thought I could communicate because I talked to people. I thought I could be good at communicating them and at dealing with them too. So that is something that is where it started, that I wanted to be in these services.
Okay, and you are from Madhya Pradesh and you have been into Maharashtra as well.
Yes.
So can you compare major human development indicators of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh?
About Madhya Pradesh, I am not aware so much about Maharashtra.
Okay, about Madhya Pradesh.
About Madhya Pradesh, we have a literacy rate of 77%.
Good.
82% for males and rather low for females, 69%. And we have a high infant mortality rate of, I believe, in 40s, which is one of the highest in the country. And the literacy rate, okay, the sex ratio is 840 in some and something.
Okay. Who is your favorite or who are your favorite political thinkers and give reasons for the same?
Sir, I believe Hannah Arendt is one of my favorite political thinkers because she dealt with an issue which is very contemporary as historical. She dealt with authoritarian regimes and how we can see that they are on the rise and how we can deal with them with political action by participating in political activities, by political participation. So she is one of my favorite political thinkers. Apart from her, Sir Amartya Sen is one of the political thinkers that I like. He's also as relevant as today because he talks about capability approach, and given the inequities in the world today, and as we know, we cannot perhaps have equality of outcomes all the time. Capability approach is something that we can do very feasibly. It might be difficult, but it's something that is doable. So these two people.
Okay, one last question from my side. I would like to know your view on the common entrance test for entrance in colleges.
Sorry, sir.
Common entrance test, which is proposed after class 12th to enter into colleges or university.
Sir, I believe there have been grievances from the students because their 12th grades are taken as an entrance criteria in many colleges, and that can have problems because there are not maybe equitable comparisons between different boards. For example, ICSE board, CBSE board, MP board or UP board. So that is a problem. But I believe a common entrance test could give a level playing field to some students, but it could also lead to a thriving industry. In that sense that many of the students will not be able to afford those resources to have those coachings, and the competition will become much fierce and people might not be able to and that would increase the stress level of the students, which I believe just after 12th standard it's a very difficult time and people tend to take it's a very difficult time to, and a very important place also in terms of what you choose as your career. So
That's good. I pass on to Chairman sir.
So many, you are an economist, right? You have some money with you.
yes, sir.
There are two options to invest in. One is the digital gold and one is the real gold. When I say digital gold, let us take cryptocurrency. Which one would you invest in by?
But I think given the current policy scenario, I will invest in physical gold because the government has not yet legalized crypto assets. Although they have said that they will be taxing crypto assets, but the finance minister has made it pretty clear that it should not be. It is not implied that we are legalizing cryptocurrency. So for now, I think I will go with physical gold.
But you are not a real economist. You are basically taking, not taking any risk, not an enterprising economist.
Yes, sir.
People are investing in crypto because of higher returns. So are you not aiming at higher returns?
Sir, I am aiming at higher returns, but I also believe the policy scenario is such that it is not certain, and the the finance minister made it clear in her post-budget speech that it should not be considered that we are going to legalize cryptocurrency. So it is a very
But
uncertain.
even gold is not a legal tender. Is gold a legal tender?
No, sir. But it has more acceptance in the society.
Last question would be from a topic of your choice.
So reading novels.
So which novels you generally like to read?
Sir, I like to read novels that use a certain language. That is the thing that I was trying to answer earlier. Literary fiction, for me, it is personally a genre that uses a language that can mean many different things to many different people. So, for example, there is a quote from one of my favorite books, The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. She writes, "Where the love laws lay, who should be loved, and how much." So it can mean many different, for an Indian it could mean caste, it could mean religion, for an American it could mean race, for different people it could mean religion and many things, and how you love that person, in what position. So these are the things that I really like about reading. They are very dense and they can make you feel certain things and make different people feel different things.
You think this hobby of yours, reading novels, will help you later on if you get into civil services to read the office files and law books?
Yes, sir. I think so. I believe fiction is a genre where it becomes much more easier to deal with social issues. For me personally, for example, The God of Small Things talks about caste issues, and The White Tiger by Arvind Adiga, it talks about corruption issues in the society, and it becomes all the more easier to talk about those issues, which in public debate would be might be not as open to be talked about. So it becomes all the more easier. The dialogue becomes much more easier. And I think that is a stepping stone for me, that has become a stepping stone for me to get interested in many of the issues that go on in the society.
Thank you very much. So, Mini, how do you rate yourself?
So I think I was very poor in terms of international relations. I had not covered many of the recent issues that I should have.
No, tell me an overall rating. Subject wise, then you can expand further, but what do you think? Just say somebody asks you, or your parents ask, how was the interview? What would you say, the one word?
So I would say it was average.
Average, very good. So why was it average?
So because of subject knowledge, I think.
Is it that you had thought that I'll give a very good interview and it turned out to be average? What was the level that you were thinking of?
Sir, I did expect that I would be able to answer more questions.
Okay, so where did you go wrong?
Sir, in terms of international relations,
That's one.
in economics also.
Yes.
Also, I believe I was not able to conclude many of my answers well. That's something that I felt.
So your assessment, I think, matches with the observations of the panel members we just discussed. So how do you think you will improve international relations?
I have to read more and more diverse sources, I feel, not just Economist and BBC.
You see, you have a balanced personality, but when you don't have information or knowledge, then how you can't give reasonings, one-sided thing you can take. So, like for instance, in the common university entrance test matter, I was very happy about the stand that you took without being provoked. Generally the candidate take one stand, say it's very good, very good, very good, and then they say, but what do you think about the points that you mentioned, that it will lead to more stress, more competitive tuitions and all that. So you covered on your own. That is the good part. So for every issue which is controversial, for every issue for which views are taken, even if your views are not taken, you must balance it out. That is the best approach. Even if there is a government move, government policy, and you have to react on that, come out with the reasons why government had to bring this, and then say some views of the public as a whole, not your personal things. And your personal thing is matching with the public. That is why you mentioned, right? So you took a stand, but here, because of lack of information, you could not take a balanced view. And economics is your subject.
Yes, sir.
I would not appreciate the answer that you gave for crypto and gold. You gave reasons later on, but you should again give, sir, cryptocurrency is considered to be a way to earn money, fast money. So if for enterprising investors, cryptocurrency, then you go beyond. क्या है कि इतना खराब नैरेटिव है क्रिप्टो के बारे में कि यंग माइंड में केवल वही आता है जो अखबार में 4 लाइनें आती। क्रिप्टो इज डेंजरस, एंड वो आरबीआई के माननीय गवर्नर साहब भी वो कहते रहते हैं, तो उसको लेके वो नैरेटिव चलता रहता है, ऑल बैड थिंग्स। नाउ टुडे डू यू नो दैट रशिया एंड यूक्रेन, they are dealing in cryptos. So you must bring out that aspect. See, asking you about what would you invest in, but in the bargain you come out with the good points about crypto. That's a crypto could be an international, and Bitcoin has been considered as a legal tender that way. And as I told you, the gold is also not a legal tender. So you came out with this ki less risk taking gold, more risk taking cryptocurrency. But in the long run, sir, it seems that cryptocurrency, the way, like something like that. So keep both the views. And demonetization, you did not answer.
Sir, I was not aware about the specific demonetization that took place in 2016, which is why I.
Specific demonetization to 2016
Sir.
और demonetization और कब हुआ था?
Oh no, sir, I'm sorry. Sir, I got confused between demonetization and disinvestment.
Oh.
And in that.
I was very
I'm really sorry,
amazed. I mean, आपके बहुत नंबर कट जा रहे हैं उससे.
Yes, sir. I'm really
इकोनॉमिस्ट
sorry.
डिमोनेटाइजेशन नहीं जानता, जिससे एक सब हिल गए पूरे हिंदुस्तान
So
के
in
लोग.
that moment, I heard disinvestment and that.
Okay,
I'm
so that
really
was,
sorry.
but this opportunity of
Yes, sir.
misunderstanding will not come to you,
Yes, sir.
because वो
Yes, sir.
feedback नहीं होता वहाँ. So please listen to the questions very carefully.
Yes, sir.
And if you have not understood a question, please ask the honorable member. Sir, I'm sorry, I could not understand. Can you please ask again, or can you please explain the question? That will be good. Parliamentary debate, it was part of your DAF. You could not remember the subject. So DAF also, I thought that you are slightly थोड़ा सा कमजोरी है. अभी आपसे कई चीजें पूछी जा सकती हैं. प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटी में से आपने किया, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया प्रेस अपने आप में इट्स अ बिग क्वेश्चन from where you can ask questions. Another thing, be to the point. Now, I've seen the candidates have a habit of basically buying time by repeating the question. Sir, is this good for India? He's already asking, as there was some question, that how this is helping India. You don't have to say, ki, sir, it is true that this is helping India because. And I know why you repeat this line. Start retrieving thoughts. This 10 seconds में मुझे कुछ चीजें आ जाएंगी. Don't do that. It looks very bookish. It looks very schoolish. जैसे आंसर देते थे ना, the reason why this is as follows. 1, 2, 3, 4. ये मेन एग्जाम में भी आपने IAS में नहीं किया होगा. Because you lose words. 100 वर्ड्स में लिखना है तो आप 20 वर्ड्स तो इसी में खा जाओगे, which is useless. So do that in interviews. Now the question is, how do I buy time? Spend 5-10 seconds, the same amount of time you just spend by pausing and then answering. बल्कि वो ज्यादा आपको क्वालिटेटिव होगा, बिकॉज आप कुछ भी नहीं बोल रही हैं. बोलते हुए सोचना बहुत मुश्किल है. बिना बोले you can think better. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So generally it's not to you. We advise the children, I mean the candidates, that कुछ लोग तो कहते हैं, सर can I take half a minute, can I take some time? उसमें भी कोई बुराई नहीं. बट आप 5, 6, 7 सेकेंड तो बिना टाइम लिए भी you can just ponder over. Even if suppose if you ask the head of state of a country, you are a editor, कोई क्वेश्चन वो पूछता भी है तो मीडिया वाला एकदम नहीं वो खट इंटरव्यू के तरह सिविल सर्विस इंटरव्यू की तो जवाब देने लगते हैं. Well, what you have said is this. You need not say in that tone, but they take some time. वो टाइम लीजिए तो आपका दोनों चीजें छुप जाएंगी. स्पीक लाउडर. थोड़ा फीबल है वॉइस आपकी, है ना. एटलीस्ट फॉर द इंटरव्यू स्पीक अ बिट लाउड. लाउड से क्या होता है, थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस झलकता है कि आप थोड़े असर्ट करके बोल रही हैं जो भी बोल रही हैं. करंट अफेयर्स एंड इकोनॉमिक्स की बात हो ही गई. एनीथिंग यू वुड लाइक टू आस्क?
With respect to body language, I wanted to ask if I smile too much.
You were a bit smiling too much, yes. It was not required. And I think your smile was justified when you were mentioning about that मिठाई मिलती है ग्वालियर में. You know, that is something out of. But when you're discussing Ukraine and Russia, उसमें there is nothing to smile about. थोड़ा सा था. And even if you have to regret कि sir I'm sorry I'm not able to answer this, don't smile. I उस समय तो बहुत घातक है, वो सरेंडर वाली है. Sir I'm sorry sir, I can't. I wish I had spoken but I'm not. इससे अच्छा ये है कि sir I am not able to recollect or recall. Oh, I won't be able to do justice with this question. I'm sorry sir, I can't answer this. What else?
See yourself in the video whenever you get it, say a couple of days, and you will share the feedback with you also, so you will understand the study of mind.
Yes, sir.
So on the whole, Mini, you may have considered your performance an average. That is why I said very good. That we, the panel, without knowing what is going on inside your brain, we have rated you very good and rated 65%, which is pretty high in the very good category. 70 is the ceiling, and maybe beyond 1 or 2% more in actual UPSC also, right? So there's just a gap of 5 to 6-7% more, and that's it. And if you have done your exams well, you have all the chances to be in the list.
So, teaching you have mentioned as one of your hobbies. So, as a teacher, you should speak more.
In terms of voice.
Yeah. Volume, and maybe you can start taking. When is your interview?
It's the 12th of May.
About time.
You have got almost 1.5 months.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you can even have some few classes also. So
Yes.
that will. Chairman has pointed out you should speak louder. Teacher, you are supposed to speak louder so that students can listen to you.
Yes, sir.
You need to go deep into those two subjects, and I have pointed out the direction to you, which was important
Yes, sir.
because you need some feedback from me. Otherwise, you will think what is the right answer to this question. So, pointed out which way you should do that, but they will go deep into your.
So can I just ask one question? So for international relations, what other sources can we read?
I'll give you just one thing, unz.com. Just go to this website.
Yes, sir.
It has whole range of things and very good factual information on international affairs.
Even civil services का बताओ.
I consult it every day.
I would like to add something. In your answer to civil services, आपने एक स्टोरी बोली थी कि मेरे को पुलिस में जाके it is better to avoid such. आप ट्रेड्स पे चले जाइए, डाइवर्सिटी पे चले जाइए, that would be better. लेकिन आप जो बोल रहे हो ना, इस रीजन की वजह से मैं पुलिस स्टेशन में गई, वहाँ पे डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हो रहा था, said this. So it is better to avoid that answer.
That's it, Vinny.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
You have a lot of time to brush up everything, right?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.